Okay, so we are continuing with our lesson on public corporations. We've already talked about the meaning of public corporations. Then we have also talked about the features. So we are going to continue from there. Then that is the reasons for the establishment of public corporations or state-owned enterprises. Why does the government participate in business? So at times they ask students a question, they say, why does the government participate in business? Then they are still talking about the reasons for the establishment of public corporations. And so, very simple, straightforward reasons. We have already talked about the first one when we were talking about the objectives of public corporation, the features. One of the features, we look at the objective, the purpose for which public corporations are established. Then we said that they are established to provide essential goods and services at reasonable or affordable. So if you are either you are talking about reasonable or affordable prices. So that is one reason. And I already showed you to provide essential goods or services at reasonable prices. So either that particular public corporation is established to provide goods or services. So you remember I talked about Ghana Food Distribution Corporation in our previous lesson. The question is were they providing food, goods or services? Now we also talk about Volta River Authority. Is it goods or services? So either you are established to provide goods at reasonable or affordable prices, or to provide services, and all those are essential. So that is that. And what are some of those things? Then you have indicated here food. So you see the reason why Food Distribution Corporation was established. Shelter. Now we used to have a corporation that was responsible for providing accommodation, houses. So all the estates we have were established by the state. And so housing corporations were there, and you know what they were to provide at reasonable prices, so that you will never pay rent as a private person would charge you. Then we also have water, so you know why Ghana Water, the company is there. Then electricity, you know why VRA is there. So that is for the first one. Now the second one, very simple, straightforward, to generate employment. You know, it is the responsibility of every government to provide employment for their citizens. But the government can involve the private sector. So private individuals provide employment for thousands of citizens. But the government also participate in that regard to also provide employment by establishing these public corporations. People are employed. And so the government will strategically establish these public corporations at places where the private individual might not be ready to establish businesses there. You know, a private person is always profit oriented. He's into business to make profit, and he will never site his business at a place where he thinks he might not get the market, the people to buy the product, so that he can maximize profit. So the government can come in, establish businesses or state-owned enterprises. It could be farms, it could be anything at such places so that people within that enclave or area could also be employed. And this can even stop what we call rural-urban migration. So the government establishes these public corporations in order to employ the citizens. And I've told you that they are established at strategic places. You can also give me reasons why a government can establish a particular public corporation in a particular area, but not somewhere else. It could even be political. These are the people who vote for us. So why don't we establish this thing there? So it can that one too can be there. For political reason, the government can establish a particular public corporation elsewhere. So number one, I've talked about where the private person will not be ready to establish. The government can establish public corporations there. And number two, it could be political. These are the people who vote for us. So why don't we establish so and so there to thank them? So that can be possible. But if you don't cite it at the right place, looking at certain factors, then it will be to your disadvantage. So that is for employment, to generate employment. Then the next point is to take control over strategic areas of the economy. Now, every economy is divided into sectors. And that is the areas I'm talking about. And when you say something is strategic, then it means it is very important. So there are certain areas of the economy, they are so important that when they are developed or their existence can bring development, economic development, the government will not leave such strategic areas of the economy in the hands of private individuals. So that the government will participate, the government will establish such businesses. So if you look at it, I've talked about water here, I've talked about electricity here, I've talked about communication here. The government will be involved in this. Now, water, it is the government that has established the Ghana Water Company. When it comes to electricity, when it comes to communication, the government is so much involved. Now, these are the areas that can lead to, or that can make the economy develop. The government says if such areas are developed, then you see the economy, you will be also be developing. So the government will not leave it in the hands of private individuals. He himself will enter into such areas for national economic development. So that is for that was strategic areas, the areas that are considered to be very important and they will propel the economy to develop. Another reason is what we call political reason, or we also say ideological reason. I don't know, and as you think for now, you might have done in economics, you have done the three systems of economy. The three systems of economy. You might have done the socialist economy, you might have done the mixed economy, and then you might also have done the capitalist economy. If you have done them, you know what they are. Now, these are political ideologies. Some government believe in capitalism, where they allow the private individuals to participate in business. Then others also believe in socialism. If it is pure one, then it means it's the state that does everything. Then they mix the combination of the two. If you have a government that believes in socialism, then such a government will be establishing public corporations. So that is why Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who had socialist ideology, established so many public corporations. to provide infrastructure and other things for the citizens. So that is for the political or ideological reason. If a particular government believes in capitalism, you see, then he will not be establishing public corporation. They will rather even sell. They will privatize. So you see, we said we were looking at privatization. They will rather privatize. They will rather sell and allow individuals to be involved. But if a particular government believes in socialism, or is a social, they have the socialist ideas, then more public corporations will be established. So it depends on the political ideology of that the government in power. So that is for that one. Then we also have security reason. Security. Now the state has a responsibility to provide security for the citizens against both internal and external aggressions. Ghana can be attacked by outsiders, or there can be war and whatever within the country too, between one tribe and another, and so on and so forth, and a whole lot of other things. So it is the responsibility of the state to provide security. The government will not leave security in the hands of private individuals. So the state itself will be involved so much in establishing agencies that will be responsible for the security of the state. So if you look at it here, we are looking at this, the government will not allow private individuals to take over our ports and harbors. Neither will they allow individuals to take over our airports. You know, if somebody is coming from outside, you pass through the ports. So if it is in the hands of private individuals and they collaborate with outsiders to attack you, you can imagine what is going to happen. So for security reasons, the government himself will be involved in the establishment of these things so that we are safe from external aggressions. So that is for that one. Then we also have to protect consumers. Who are consumers? The final users of a product. Consumer against what? Against exploitation by monopolists or private individuals, especially where they operate as monopolists. In other words, if you say mono means one. If you have only one person that is providing essential commodities, then you see the person will take advantage of that. In your school or wherever you find yourself, let's come back to the school environment. When you go to the market to buy something, are prices high or low when you compare with those that are selling outside? Certainly, you say high. Why? The one who is selling a particular thing, he's the only person that sells it. So whether you like it or not, you buy, and they take advantage of that to charge higher prices. The prices they charge have not got anything to do with their cost, but they are taking advantage of the situation, so they are exploiting you. But when you go to the market, there are several people that are providing this, so there is competition, and competition can lead to lower prices. So in order to, if you look, it says to protect consumers, that is the citizens, from exploitation by private firms. That means that if there is a private firm that is a monopolist, then it means they will be charging higher prices. So the government will now come in. If the government comes in, then the government can be a competitor, and then that will check these exploitations by the private individual, and so that price can be controlled. So that is for that one, to protect consumers, and that we are looking at the citizens from exploitation, and I've explained to you what is meant by to exploit the consumer by the private individuals. The last reason is what we call natural monopolies. Natural monopolies. Natural. Somebody has become a monopolist because of something that you cannot have anything to do with it. Let's look at it. A particular business requires huge capital before you can establish a huge capital. Now go and find out from the government how much it will cost to build dam. Find out how much the Akosombo dam costs. See, it will be very difficult for individual to provide capital to establish such business. So individuals might not be able to provide the needed capital to establish such business. But you see, the government will have that money. The government will have that money. So where there are areas that are very important and the individuals will not have capital to provide such services because of the quantum of the money involved, the amount of money involved, the capital involved in providing or in establishing that business, then the government will come in to provide that capital to establish business. So we say it was created by natural monopolies. It's the only one that can have the money to provide such capital. If individuals are able to do that, they come together to be able to do that, then you can imagine prices, how high the prices will be. So these are the reasons for the establishment of state-owned enterprises. And I said it is also the reasons why the government participates in business. So that is for that one. So we will end this video to here and continue from the other areas so that you can have time to digest what we have already learned. Till we meet again. Bye bye.